Don't blink, you'll miss a 9.5% move in the stock market. This is the single largest upward swing in the daily market since World War II, folks. What did I tell you? I told you this was likely going to be wrapped up in its majority by the end of the week.
It's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. It's really, I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country is going to be, there'll be nothing like it. And people investing in our country, they're going to do better than they've ever done before. We have more car manufacturers, Roger, coming into our country now. Speaking of cars, we've never seen anything like it. And they're coming in because of the election, but they're coming in because of the tariffs.
And here we are, hump day, 3 days after Trump launched this reciprocal tariff policy, and 75 nations have come to the table.
And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they are in this very spot. Do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded.
That guy has been up all night. Look, you will be rewarded with cheap access to the world's largest economy, which is us. Imagine that. Trump was right again. But the other thing that I think is very important to note, and Caroline Leavitt kind of touched on this at her press conference with Bessent, the left wing took this as an opportunity to hurt Trump. Forget the American people, they said. For the last 4 days, the media, the liberal media, has been attempting to appeal to their economically illiterate audience to further hurt the market. You know why markets are going down? You know why they go down, why they are down? Because people think they're going to go down. Look very carefully at who was on what networks telling people that the sky was falling.
There is a lot of concern and fear, levels that we've rarely seen outside of the COVID crash and the 2008 financial crisis. Talking to investors and analysts and economists, I don't think I've ever heard them as concerned and confused and just sort of frustrated.
Donald Trump's tariffs, it comes as the president's trade policies continue to rattle the markets.
This could be the end of American exceptionalism. When all these countries are watching this disaster play out and we're insulting them, they could take their toys, they could take their money and say, I'm not investing in your stocks, I'm not investing in your bonds, I'm done with you, America.
That's what they wanted. I mean, this is as close to insider trading as you can possibly get. And it was very coordinated. Think about this. Instead of trying to help the country, help the people they say were being hurt by this, what was the left doing? They were sending who they think were the most credible of their side out onto all the major TV networks to try to convince millions of Americans that they should sell their stocks, to create a stock run, which is causing more people to sell their stocks, which caused the markets to go down more, which caused some of the other people to sell more of their stocks. And instead of being genuinely worried about it, God forbid, try to help Trump fix it, Democrats just were out there perpetuating the narrative. And then when somebody goes on one of those same networks and says, hey guys, slow your roll, let's weather this storm, don't freak out, they send who knows how many trolls to go attack them. Look at this. Dave Portnoy, who ended up being right, by the way.
It's uncomfortable. Anytime a stock market is like this and you're invested in it, it's certainly uncomfortable. But I stand with it. He ran on tariffs. He said he was a tariff fan. And I don't pretend to be an economist. I don't think I realized that we'd have this market crash. I don't think most people did. But I think he believes in what he's doing and trying to basically strong-arm China and get better deals for the U.S. I'm willing to still give him time.
Seems super reasonable to me. Look, I don't really think he cares what these liberal trolls say. I certainly don't. But this is the attitude we collectively as America need to have. Folks, I think this is the problem we have today. And now that we're kind of like through the worst of this, we need to dissect what just happened here. Okay? This showed that Americans don't know what sacrifice is anymore. Think about it. We had, as a society, we complain about literally everything, any minor inconvenience. Walking around this country at 32% body fat on average, ordering Uber Eats from 3 blocks away, we whine about any minor inconvenience, even if it's our own fault. Think about this, folks. Reflect on this. It's so good here in America. For the first time in the history of civilization, we here in America have it so good that the primary health concern among poor people is obesity because we have too much to eat. We have reached a place in society today where the majority of Americans' portfolio is more important to them than their country. That hurts my soul to say that. How do we get back to a place where people's pride and faith in their country exceeds their concern for their personal portfolio? During World War II, people left their businesses. They just boarded them up and shut them down. They put them on pause, kissed their kids on the forehead, and volunteered to storm the beaches of Normandy. Many of those people actually lied about their age because they were too young to go fight. How many 16-year-olds do you know today that would drop their friends, their video games, their iPhones, and their sports to go march to almost certain death in another country? I'll tell you, it's about 0% of Democrats. And honestly, a lot of members of Congress, too, on both sides. And I know all this because these people just panicked. They threw a temper tantrum and was ready to throw in the towel because they might have to pay more for some stupid gadget on Amazon that they don't even need. Huge swaths of Congress, many Republicans, what was their response to this? Instead of knuckling up and having faith in a guy that 77 million of us elected, they were about to try to pass a law to take away Trump's right to negotiate tariffs. No. We have become so soft that we do not know how to make sacrifices anymore, even for 5 days. Let's review what just happened this last week. This was a test. We were just presented with our nation's version, our generation's version of the post-Pearl Harbor posters that went up that said, Uncle Sam, pointing at you, I want you for the U.S. Army. Trump wanted you to put America first and yourself second for a week, and most people couldn't do it. And I said the whole time, we have to weather the storm, because if we had caved, we would have just endured all this market loss for no reason. But Trump, thank God, he held strong. And what happened? What happened? Oh, look, 75 nations said, hey, DJT, we got to make a deal on this. What's the result? Stock market jumped 7% in 8 minutes, 10% by the close of the day. Trump's he completely modernized the entire world against China. He mobilized everybody against him. He effectively added a 10% tariff to every single one of the countries you see scrolling right now, and they're happy about it. This is the art of the deal. If Trump had outright just imposed a 10% tariff on all these people, we'd still be in this slump. But he swung for the fences, bowed up, and then compromised down. And now most of the world, most of the modern production world, is thanking him for essentially taxing them 10% more. Folks, doubt Trump at your own peril, and I'll call you a fool. This is what I think very intelligent commentators like Ben Shapiro, who I generally like, were missing. This is as recently as yesterday.
What you should do if you want a better trade deal with Italy is go to Italy and tell them you want a better trade deal or you're going to smack them. Because then you have the world's largest economy fighting not the world's largest economy.
We had a whole breakdown on this. But yeah, in traditional diplomacy, maybe, but we tried this for the last 2 months. These tariffs were the product and the response to them not listening and not taking the meeting. And it took this last week of Trump actually doing it for them to realize that he was serious. Was it a huge gamble? Oh, yeah, absolutely it was. Could have things gone horribly wrong? Oh, yeah, they could have. But they didn't. And I knew they wouldn't because all the other leaders of all those other nations are exactly like the spineless leaders of our nation for the last 30 years, which got us into this debacle, which cared more about their reelection campaigns, their popularity, and whatever else. And then they didn't even bother to fix the massive systemic and detrimental problems to our economies. This is what I voted for. I voted for the guy who was willing to blow up the entire system in order to fix it. I voted for the guy who I knew would come out on top because that's what he does. That's why he's president against all odds twice now. They have tried to shoot him in the face. They have tried to bankrupt him. They have tried to put him in jail. And then he beat them all. That is the guy I knew was headed into the negotiation table. Why would you bet against that? Look, are we out of the woods yet? No, not entirely, but we are in a much better position now than we have been in for the last 40 years. Think about this. 5 days. 5 days. It was us versus the world. Trump brought the entire world's economies, all of them, to heel. That means fishermen, auto workers, oil field workers, steel companies, farmers, and everybody who transports supplies and supports all of them and more. Tens of millions of jobs are now 10% more competitive in the global workforce. And the one holdout, China, how are they faring all this now? Their currency's cratered like 30%. iPhone's moving its manufacturing out to India, along with a ton of other companies. Amazon is canceling contracts with some of the gadgets and doodads that they produce there. The next step, look, here, personally, if you really want to screw over China, wrap up this Ukraine war and tell Russia, hey, if you withdraw from Ukraine, we'll drop all the sanctions on all of your exports right now and just slap a small 10% tariff on. Chinese markets will combust. It could be the end of the CCP. Some economists say we're not out of the woods yet. I say that's okay. Trump just built a house in the woods. And I tweeted this out last week. Quote, to all the critics of Trump while the market is down, I anxiously await your applause when it shoots up in the next few months. Didn't even take a few months. I'll expect your applause now, Libs.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.